Your emotions are not your enemy. But right now, they are running your life. Think about the last time anger made you say the thing you can't take back. The last time fear talked you out of the room you should have walked into. The last time a single text message hijacked your whole afternoon. You didn't choose any of it. Something older and louder chose for you, and you simply watched. That's the quiet tragedy most men never name. They believe they're in control, right up until the moment something pulls the trigger, and the calm man they thought they were vanishes. The Stoics solved this 2,000 years ago, not by killing their emotions but by mastering them, by learning where a feeling truly comes from, and how to stand between the spark and the fire. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire from inside that calm. Epictetus, born a slave, found a freedom no master could touch. In the next few minutes I'll give you 10 laws to take back the wheel. Stay to the end, because the 10th law is the one that quietly governs all the others. This is the foundation. Get this wrong and nothing else works. You believe the world makes you feel things. The traffic makes you angry. The insult makes you small. The rejection makes you afraid. But look closer. The same event lands on two men and produces two completely different storms, because the event was never the cause. Your judgment of it was. Between what happens and how you feel, there's always a gap. A silent, invisible step where your mind decides what the thing means. This is a disaster. This is an attack. This will ruin me. The feeling obeys the verdict. Change the verdict and the feeling changes with it. Epictetus said it about as plainly as it can be said. Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. Picture a man who gets passed over for a promotion. One version of him thinks, "They don't respect me, I'm a failure, this proves everything I feared." He spirals for a week. Another version thinks, "Interesting, what did they value that I didn't show?" Same event. One man drowns, the other learns. The water didn't change. The man did. You're not at the mercy of the world. You're at the mercy of your own unexamined opinions about it, and those, unlike the world, you can actually change. The action. The next time a feeling spikes, don't fight the feeling. Find the judgment underneath it. Ask, what am I telling myself this means? Then ask if it's actually true. Most of your suffering lives in a story you never checked. Almost all emotional suffering comes from a single error, caring about the wrong things. You pour your peace into outcomes you can't command. What other people think of you, whether the plan works, whether the weather, the market, the past, the future all cooperate. None of it is yours. And when you chain your calm to things outside your hands, you hand the keys to your own mind to forces that will never give them back. The Stoics drew a hard line down the middle of reality. On one side, your judgments, your choices, your effort, your response. Fully yours. On the other side, everything else. The whole discipline is to throw your whole self into the first list and loosen your grip on the second. Epictetus opened his entire teaching with it. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office. Watch a man waiting on a result he can't control. A test score, a reply, a verdict. He refreshes the screen. His stomach turns. He's already living in a future he can't touch. Now watch the man who did his work and let the rest go. He isn't careless. He's free. He spent himself on his part, and he refuses to bleed over the part that was never his. The calm man isn't calm because nothing threatens him. He's calm because he stopped trying to control what was never his to control. The action. Take whatever is eating you right now and split it in two. Write down what part is actually in your power. Usually it's only your effort and your attitude. Pour everything into that. Then deliberately, consciously, let the rest fall out of your hands. Every emotion you regret was acted on too fast. Anger especially. Promises you that this moment demands an answer right now. That to wait is to lose. It's lying. Anger is never as wise as it feels, and it always feels most certain right before it does the most damage. The Stoics knew the most powerful move you own is the pause. Not suppression. Space. The small, deliberate gap between the spark and the action. where reason gets a chance to catch up before the feeling has already spoken for you. Seneca, who wrote an entire book on anger, gave the cure directly. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Wait, let the first surge pass. Almost nothing that's true at the peak of fury survives 10 honest minutes of silence. Imagine the message that lands like a slap. Your thumbs are already moving, the reply half-written and twice as sharp as it needs to be. That reply will cost you. Now imagine you set the phone down. You breathe. You let 1 hour pass. The reply you send then, if you send one at all, comes from you and not from the wound. Same situation. One version burns a bridge. The other keeps your power intact. The man who can wait owns the room. The man who reacts instantly is owned by whoever knows which button to push. The action: install a rule. When a strong emotion hits, you don't act for at least 60 seconds, and for anything serious, not for an hour. Breathe. Say nothing. The pause isn't weakness. It's the gap where you take yourself back. An emotion you can't name runs you from the shadows. An emotion you can name, you can stand beside. When a feeling stays vague, just a churning heat, a heaviness, a dread you never examine, it fills the whole room of your mind and starts to feel like the truth. But the moment you name it precisely, this is envy, this is fear of looking foolish, this is wounded pride, something shifts. You've stepped back. You're not drowning in it anymore. You're watching it. And whatever you can watch, you're no longer fully ruled by. The Stoics practiced this constantly. Looking straight at a thing, stripping off the drama, calling it exactly what it is. Marcus Aurelius did it on the page, talking himself back to clarity night after night. He wrote, "Today I escaped from anxiety. Or no, I discarded it because it was within me in my own perceptions, not outside." He found the feeling, traced it to its real source inside himself, and set it down. Think of a man overwhelmed before a big day, a vague sense that everything is too much. As long as it stays formless, it crushes him. But when he stops and names it, "I'm afraid I'll be judged and found lacking," the monster shrinks into a sentence. A sentence can be examined. A sentence can be answered. The shapeless dread couldn't be. Naming isn't weakness or therapy speak. It's reconnaissance. You can't govern an enemy you refuse to look at. The action: when emotion rises, stop and finish this sentence out loud or on paper. What I'm feeling right now is, and it's coming from. Precision drains the power out of it. The named thing is always smaller than the nameless one. Most of your pain is self-inflicted, fired after the fact. Something hard happens. That's the first arrow. You couldn't always have dodged it. But then comes the second arrow and the third and the 10th. The replaying. The why me. The this always happens. The disasters you imagine that haven't come and may never. The first wound was reality's. Every wound after it you fired into yourself. The Stoics trained hard against this. Against the habit of taking one real hardship and multiplying it into endless suffering through commentary, dread, and self-pity. The event is the event. Your endless story about the event is the real torment. Marcus caught himself doing it and wrote the correction. Don't tell yourself anything more than what the initial impressions report. Get rid of the judgments and you are saved. Drop the second arrow. Keep only what actually happened. Picture a man who makes a mistake at work. The mistake is the first arrow, real and survivable. But he doesn't stop there. He spends the night convinced he'll be fired, that everyone's talking, that this defines him forever. By morning he's wrecked by a catastrophe that only ever existed in his head. The mistake cost him an hour. The story cost him the night. Seneca saw it everywhere in people. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The imagined suffering is optional. You're the one writing it. The action: when something hits, deal only with what's actually in front of you. The first arrow. The moment you catch yourself spiraling into what if and why, always name it for what it is. A second arrow, you're firing at yourself. And then refuse to fire it. Half of what controls your emotions is a costume your mind put on it. You don't react to things. You react to the meaning you've draped over them. The luxury you crave, the insult you dread, the loss you fear. Your mind inflates them, dresses them up as important, and then you feel the size of the costume instead of the thing itself. Strip the costume and the emotion often comes off with it. The Stoics had a discipline for this. They called it seeing things objectively, describing what's actually there in plain terms without the inflated story. The fancy meal is food. The fame you envy is people you'll never meet having an opinion. The thing loses its grip the instant you see it bare. Marcus practiced it mercilessly, even on grand things. How good it is to strip them naked, to see their cheapness, to strip away the legend that encrusts them. He looked past the costume to the plain object underneath, and the spell broke. Think of a man eaten alive by envy over a rival's success. The cars, the praise, the highlight reel. As long as he lets his mind dress it all up as the perfect life, it owns him. But strip it down. A stranger has acquired some objects and some attention from people whose names he doesn't know. Said plainly, the thing that was devouring him barely registers. The envy was feeding on the costume, not the truth. Most of what you fear and most of what you crave shrinks the moment you describe it without the drama. The action. Take the thing gripping your emotions and describe it in the flattest, most literal language you can. No adjectives, no story, no inflated stakes. See it naked. 9 times out of 10, the feeling can't survive an honest description. Emotions explode hardest when reality ambushes you, so stop letting it. Most of your sharpest distress isn't the difficulty itself. It's the surprise of it. You quietly assumed the day would go smoothly, the people would behave, the plan would hold. And when it didn't, the gap between what you expected and what showed up detonated. The Stoics closed that gap on purpose ahead of time. They practiced rehearsing the hard things before they happened. The rude colleague, the delay, the setback, the loss. Not to be gloomy, but to be ready. A difficulty you've already met in your mind can't ambush you when it arrives. Marcus Aurelius started his mornings with it. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He didn't say it to grow bitter. He said it so that when one of them showed up, he met it with a nod instead of a meltdown. Picture a man who walks into every day assuming everything will be easy and everyone will be kind. The first rude driver, the first broken promise, ruins him because he braced for nothing. Now picture the man who told himself at dawn that today would have friction in it, the way every day does. When it comes, he's already standing in it. Nosok. Nos pairel. Just yes, there it is. Seneca lived by it. The unexpected blows of fortune fall most heavily and painfully on those who expect nothing but success. The action. Each morning, spend 60 seconds rehearsing what could go wrong. The annoyance, the obstacle, the difficult person. Meet it in your mind before it meets you in the world. When it arrives, it'll find you already prepared, and the emotional charge will be gone. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. Forget this, and every passing feeling becomes a command. The thought arrives. You can't do this, they don't like you, this is hopeless. Untrained, you treat it as a fact, a verdict, an order to obey. But a thought isn't a fact. It's an event in the mind, no more binding than a cloud passing overhead. The power isn't in the thought. The power is in whether you believe it and act on it. The Stoics built up a watcher. The part of you that stands back and observes the storm without getting swept into it. They knew the mind throws up impressions constantly, and that wisdom lives in the gap where you decide whether to agree with them or let them drift past. Marcus reminded himself where his peace actually lived. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The ruling part of you is yours. The passing impressions only carry the authority you choose to hand them. Think of a man before a hard challenge whose mind says, flatly, you're going to fail. If he takes it as fact, he's already beaten. But if he watches the thought arrive and just notes it, there's a fearful thought and I don't have to obey it, he can act anyway. The thought still came. It just didn't get to drive. The untrained man gets dragged behind every thought his mind throws. The trained man watches them go by and picks which ones to follow. The action. Practice creating a sliver of distance. When a heavy thought hits, Narrate it. I'm having the thought that, not I will fail, but, I'm having the thought that I'll fail. That small reframe turns a command back into a cloud, something you can watch pass instead of obey. Half your emotional pain is the pain of gripping something that was always going to leave. You cling to people, to circumstances, to a version of life you wanted to last forever. And when it changes, the way everything changes, the loss feels unbearable. Not just because it's gone, but because some part of you believed you could keep it. That belief was the trap. Nothing in this world was ever yours to keep. It was only ever yours to hold for a while. The Stoics practiced holding everything loosely, loving fully but with open hands. They reminded themselves daily that all of it is on loan. Their possessions, their position, even the people they love. Not to grow cold, but so that when the loan got called in, they could let go without being destroyed. Epictetus taught it in language that sounds harsh until you've lived it. Never say about anything, I have lost it, but only I have given it back. The thing wasn't taken from you. It went back to where it came from, the way it was always going to. Picture a man clinging to something already slipping away. A relationship, a role, a chapter that's ending. The harder he grips, the more it tears at him, and the grip changes nothing. Now picture the man who holds the same thing gratefully but openly, who can say, this was good and now I give it back. He feels the loss. He's not made of stone, but it doesn't shatter him. He was holding sand with an open hand the whole time. The grip was never keeping anything. It was only hurting you. The action. Find the thing you're clenching. The outcome, the person, the past. Practice the open hand. Tell yourself it was always on loan, and that you can be grateful for it without needing to grip it. You'll find you can love something far more peacefully once you've accepted you can't keep it. Here is the law that holds up all the others, and the moment you understand it, everything changes. Every law before this points to one place, inward. You can't control the events, the people, the outcomes, the storm, but you can become the kind of man the storm doesn't move. That's the entire project. Not arranging the world so nothing ever disturbs you, which is impossible, but building a self so steady that disturbance stops running the show. The throne of your peace was always inside you. Most men just never sat on it. The Stoics understood that the only real conquest is self-conquest. You can win every argument, gain every possession, control everyone around you, and still be a slave to your own reactions. But master yourself, and no insult, no loss, no stroke of luck can take your center from you, because your center no longer depends on any of them. Marcus Aurelius, who commanded the most powerful empire on earth, found his true power in the only place it can ever be. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. Now, not when the world cooperates. Now, inside where you actually live. Watch two men face the exact same hard year. The same losses, the same insults, the same setbacks. One is wrecked by it, bitter and reactive, blaming the world for the storm. The other walks through it steady, shaken but not ruled, because over 1,000 small moments he built a self the storm couldn't run. The year was identical. The men were not. The whole difference was the work each had done or hadn't done on the inside. This is the freedom Epictetus, a former slave, prized above all. No man is free who is not master of himself. Not master of his circumstances. Master of himself. That's the one mastery no one can ever take from you. You won't control the world. You were never meant to, but you can become a man it can no longer push around. One law, one pause, one honest judgment at a time, until calm stops being something you reach for and becomes simply who you are. The action. Stop trying to manage the world's behavior and start managing your own. Each of these laws is a strike of the chisel on the same statue. You pick one this week and practice it until it's reflex. Master yourself first. Everything else loses its grip the moment you do. So, 10 Stoic laws to take back the wheel from your emotions. It's not the event that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. Divide the world into what you control and what you don't. Put time between the trigger and your response. Name the emotion and you weaken its grip. Don't add suffering to suffering. See things as they are, stripped of the story. Expect difficulty in advance. Watch the mind, but don't obey it. Let go of what you cannot keep. And above all, master yourself first, and the world loses its power over you. Notice the thread running through everyone. Not a single law tries to change the world, the people, or the events. They all turn inward, to your judgment, your pause, your story, your grip. Because that was always the only place your peace actually lived. The Stoics didn't conquer their emotions by force. They understood them and learned to step between the spark and the fire. You won't master your emotions by pretending you don't have them. You'll master them by seeing clearly where they come from and refusing to be ruled by what you can finally watch. If even one of these reached you, do one quiet thing for yourself. Subscribe and let this channel be a small daily reminder to choose the calm over the reaction. Pick one law today. Practice it the next time something tries to pull you off your center. That's where mastery begins. And remember, you will never control the storm, but you can become the kind of man it simply moves around.